So, over the last couple of weeks, I've posted several videos where we watched Haas absolutely dismantle and demolish Zerg players that play at a very, very high level. He obviously loves going for those cheesy builds, and he somehow, some way, seems to be able to make it work. Now, I figured, what if, and I don't know if he decides to cheese in this series as well, but what if he goes up against the current world champion of StarCraft 2? How does the world champion deal with that kind of aggression? So spawning here, in the top left-hand corner of Ephemeron, we're looking inside of the main base of Dark. A ridiculously good Zerg player, current world champion of StarCraft 2. His opponent, of course, well, I've already revealed him. He goes by the nickname of Haas. Alrighty, so one of the build orders that Haas loves to go for is exactly this. Pylon on the low ground, then a gateway as a follow-up. Then he scouts with the probe. And as soon as he sees that it's a hatchery first, which it is, he will usually plant down the forge. So look at this, he's already sending out the probe as well. I secretly hope he's gonna go ahead and do so. I mean, he could just go for a normal expansion off of this as well. He sees the hatch first right now. What do? Please put down a forge. Okay, there it is, okay. So this is what Haas is very well known for, okay? He loves going for this cannon rush, and sometimes he starts like juggling immortals and all that as well as a follow-up too. Doesn't necessarily have to go that far though. He can just try and go for the cannon rush and then, you know, force the cancel on this hatchery. He's probably gonna try and see if he can lock in this probe with like a bit of a semi-wall. There we go, it gets scouted immediately by Dark. He's gonna pull a couple of the boys. I really want to know how he responds to this, okay? Like, maybe it's actually just gonna be terrible as well right here for Dark. I have no idea, but I highly doubt that Dark is gonna be walked over like some of these other Zerg players that I've casted games of over the last couple of weeks. So there we go. Photon cannon goes down, he cancels the 2 pylons. This hatchery, for all intents and purposes, is toast because not enough drones were pulled. And this is a pretty small investment, right? All things considered. 2 Zerglings start up, 2 Queens start up as well. Roachborn starts, and then also an Extractor. Alright. So, there's several different ways you can break out of this contain. I guess it's not really a contain, but several different ways you can, like, break this position here of the Protoss. First off, you can go for, like, Zerglings and Banelings. Secondly, you can try and go for, like, a full-on counterattack, which I don't mind at all. I think that's what these 2 Zerglings are going for right now as well. And then lastly, you can go for, like, Roach Ravager. Those are, like, the really popular options that Zerg players can go for. Some have been opting to go for a quick third base. Dark actually let that hatchery finish, too. I think that's just to get this queen out, actually. That's a very expensive queen. Yep. He's gonna lay down a tumor right here at the very edge of the creep. Is scouting across the map right now and sees that it's a Stargate. Okay, so Stargate as a follow-up right now. That does mean that Dark is probably gonna have to fight a Void Ray here in a little bit. Roaches are coming up as well. Hatchery will fall. Oh! Okay. Well, this is a variation I haven't seen before. He scouted exactly what his opponent is going for, and he seems to be sending Brenda and Karen across the map. Now, they're old and sluggish and real slow when they go off creep. But they will get there. Give them about 2 minutes, they will get to the other side of the map. Void Ray is already coming up. Is this gonna work? I mean, I'm sure this is something that Dark has practiced, right? Because he's not just gonna go up against this and, you know, just wing it in a game like this. Because we've all seen how good Haas is in this kind of situation. He hasn't scouted this yet, though, the Protoss, that is. He's sending out 2 of the boys right now. If he can catch Zerg, that is, these 2 Ravagers, that would be huge. Okay, they do get cancelled. Void Ray is going to finish here in a little bit. These Ravagers will certainly not get anything done, right? They may rain like a couple of biles here, but I think they're trying to probably bait this Void Ray right here to Karen and Brenda. Now, this is cool. They have a lot of energy, too. I don't think he injected a single time. Maybe he did once, but I'm not entirely sure. I think he's just going to try and... Yeah, he's got... He's got 2 transfuses available on these queens. 2 in total. There's an Oracle coming up right now as well. A couple of shield batteries are coming up here too, but there's really not that much defense. The pylon falls before Warp Gate finishes, so there's really not that much production right now either. Ooh, if Dark can actually break through this pylon, he's going to be able to shut down so much of this. Good transfuses right here as well on a couple of those weakened units. He lands a couple more of those biles on another one of these pylons, and I think this is... Well, is this going to be a hold? It's very close. Yeah, there's only 1 shield battery right now that finishes up those pylons out of range. And I think Dark, in a very cheeky response, something that I have not quite seen before, he's dealing an awful lot of damage right now to this Protoss player. Just simply reading him like a book and absolutely countering him super smoothly. The Void Ray falls. and Haas has to tap out. Well, and just like that, just a few minutes later, we already find ourselves in game number 2 of this series on the map Eternal Empire. Okay, now, I really like that response there from Dark, right? However, in a way that was sort of responding to some early game aggression, but was for all intents and purposes an all-in, right? Because if there would have been, say like for example, he sent one adept across the map, right? Then he would have seen those queens a little bit sooner. He probably would have dedicated another chrono boost on one of those stargates, or on that one stargate rather. Maybe he would have even planted down a shield battery a little bit quicker and maybe in a bit of a better position as well. I feel like that push from Dark was counterable. I wonder if maybe Dark decided to go for this specifically after studying Haas's play for a little while, which would be pretty interesting as well, because obviously, you know, he had to know what the follow-up was going to be, right? If it would have been just a single adept that would have been sent across the map, obviously Haas would have seen it much sooner, and he probably would have had, like, either a second Stargate unit done by the time that those queens arrived, or, like, you know, a shield battery finished at that point. Interesting approach for sure, but, yeah, he did obtain the victory there. Not entirely sure if that's necessarily the style you want to execute on the ladder, though. If you do, please let me know how it goes. I'm very curious to hear your results. I definitely want to give it a try myself as well whenever that happens now against Protoss. Just make sure you execute it super cleanly, because if you make one mistake, right, and you're not moving across the map at the perfect moment, those queens arrive just like 5 seconds later. It's just not going to be a good execution. You're just going to get shut down really, really hard. But nice move right there by Dark. Looks like in game number 2, we have none of that cheekiness. Haas just going for what seems to be a very standard build order. Now here's the thing though, Dark, he's one of the scariest macro Zergs in the world. Haas, you know, he's got a decent macro game, don't get me wrong, he would probably beat me any day of the week. But, is his macro as strong as that of Dark? I've got a feeling it's gonna be very, very tricky for him, so we'll see what he decides to go for in this particular game. Cybercore is finishing up. He does have a lot of gas. Probably a Stargate. Yeah, there it is. Stargate goes down. Obviously, that's 150 gas. The Adept starts up as well. And Haas at this point is showing that there's no Cybernetics Core upgrade yet because he can't afford it. He could start up the Warp Gate right now, and there it is. But this is something that Dark sees, and Dark right now knows exactly what it is he's going up against. Unless it's obviously Haas trying to outsmart him and purposely starting up that Cybercore upgrade a little bit later. Sends in the first Overlord, or rather the Overlord a little bit further as well at this point, so he knows that the first Adept has come out. At this moment, he's just wondering if it's going to be a Stalker as a follow-up, or maybe a second Adept, so he needs to know about that in just a little bit too. Usually the Stalker comes out at about 3 minutes or so, 2:55, 3 minutes, depending on Chrono Boost. And yeah, by the time that Stalker is not out, obviously Dark could go ahead and send in that Overlord a little bit further and probably confirm that it is going to be that Stargate opener if he wants to. He's just going to leave it here. He sees the timing of the second gate. This is all very, very clear indication of a Stargate opener. Okay, well, Haas is just simply rallying in that one Phoenix. Let's see what he can get done. So normally at this point, right, we would have already seen Haas dedicating himself to some sort of cheese. I'm quite surprised that Dark didn't even bother like sending a couple of Zerglings across the map to scout for like a proxy Stargate or something along those lines. I haven't really been paying attention to his build order very much. He's got a lot of Zerglings here. Wow. Actually, well, it seems like a lot of Zerglings without speed at this point in the game. I guess he was really worried for those double Adepts, but the double Adepts are only just now sent across the map rather. There is a pylon going up here eventually, but really not the scariest or most threatening position, but something to keep in mind. Spore Crawlers are coming up. This is anticipation of, for example, an Oracle as a follow-up. Phoenix right now scouting around though, and that will figure out exactly what's going on. So, for all intents and purposes, this looks like a pretty normal macro game right now. Haas going for the Glaive Adept upgrades. So, Glaive Adepts are good. But I've seen Dark just shut down this build order. I mean, this is the build that... well, a variation of the build anyway. This is the build that both Hurricane and then I believe also... Who was it? Stats or Zest? I'm not entirely sure. But they ended up beating Serral with exactly this kind of style. Where they basically denied all of the scouting information from the Zerg and then just simply busted out a whole lot of Adepts. Still a little bit worrying though. Not gonna lie. This doesn't seem like necessarily... something you want to execute against Dark. I mean, a cheap trick against Dark in the early to mid game, it always feels a little bit risky, especially when you're already 1-0 behind in a best-of-3 series. You're essentially putting all of your eggs in one basket. Now, he's adding on additional phoenixes. This is now 3 phoenixes. A 4th one is coming up as well. I guess his plan is to probably lift up the queens and any potential ravagers. The thing is, though, Dark is going for Zerglings. He's already got +1 melee coming up. That's a very quick +1 melee. He's going for the Baneling Nest here as well. He's scouting for the 3rd base. Normal timing of the 3rd base is 5 minutes. I don't see a 3rd base coming up here. So he knows he just needs to make units. And here come those Adepts. Now, those Queens are going to be in a lot of trouble, though. Those Queens will probably get lifted, I'm assuming. A couple of Banelings already get morphed in. Is he going to commit here? The drones can just run. Nah, he's not gonna commit. A couple of the workers, or rather the Adepts, do get warped in from this position, but the longer you wait, though, right, the harder this is gonna be, because +1 melee is gonna finish up here in a little bit. The Banelings are here. He's just following the shades around. He's like, bro, commit. I dare you. Try and shade on top of my Banelings. See how that goes for you. And so far, Dark is just shutting down this Protoss player with ease. Now he's counter-attacking with all the Zerglings. +1 attack is finishing up. Banelings once again show themselves here. And, well, what are you gonna do now? Hey, Haas, what are you going to do about these links? They have +1 melee. Glaive Adept's usually pretty good, but I'm not sure against upgraded Zerglings how they're going to fare. Good positioning there. It looks like Zerg will probably be able to, you know, be pushed back here, but, I mean, obviously this is now most of that aggression held. The Banelings, though, can still be utilized on the other side of the map as well, and that's exactly what Dark decides to do right now. Haas still has... Oh, well, goodbye. Haas still does have quite a lot of Phoenixes. He's now going double Stargate Phoenix? Dude, that's not going to be a good idea against Zerglings and Banelings. He probably did not anticipate this Zerg player going for freaking Banelings and Zerglings at this point in the game. It's a little bit of an awkward opener as well, but he just simply blows up that structure. I'm starting to be a little bit worried right here for that 3rd base. If these Adepts disappear, right, that 3rd base will certainly go down as well. 28 additional Zerglings were indeed on that production tab. What are you going to do with those Phoenixes? Well, he's forced to show them right now. Lift up the Banelings. Lift up the Zerglings. I don't think you really want to be lifting Zerglings, dude. Well, I guess you can. He really wants to try and hold on to this Nexus. This Nexus is super important. So far, it's going decently well, but as long as Dark just commits more and more units here across the map, he's also effectively shutting down the Phoenix harass, because they will be out of energy by the time that they get across. Oh, dude. Yeah, I'm a little bit worried for this third Nexus. I think that Dark has the kill on it. And then all of a sudden we're talking like... Yeah, he thinks it as well. Look, he's already droning again. Wait, really? You're not gonna commit? He could have definitely killed that. Maybe he's waiting for reinforcements? Well, maybe he just wants to send them into the natural instead. Just be all over the place. Run the units in. And this is going from bad to worse right now for Haas. Trying to outsmart the world champion. Not today, it looks like. Double Stargate, not necessarily a cheesy build. Same can be said actually for the double, or rather for the Glaive Adept opener. It's not necessarily cheesy. I wouldn't really, you know, categorize this as cheese. Ugh. Okay, well, that's a lot of probes. I wouldn't necessarily categorize this as cheese, but there's no denying that this is still very risky, because you died to a lot of build orders of Zerg. You know what I mean? And this is one of them. Dark knew exactly what it is that his Haas, or that the Protoss right here was going for, or at the very least likely was planning on. Look at the worker count right now. He's going to be at 71 drones versus 40-something probes. The 3rd Nexus does live. Now, I really feel like he could have gotten a kill on the 3rd Nexus as well. That would have probably sealed the deal. At this point, though, +2 melee is already coming up. Baneling speed is already coming up as well. And he's already going straight up towards a hive. What is this? Is this just going to be straight adrenal glands? Giving these Zerglings adrenal glands would be insane. You gotta keep in mind, making the transition right here for Haas towards, like, Archon Immortal is not really he can do, okay? Like, he needs Archons against this, ultimately. Or maybe Colossi or something like that. But obviously, if you open up double Stargate, you're not gonna have that tech. Now, a couple of force fields will prevent these Zerglings from killing the 3rd Nexus once again. Oh, he's gonna be able to lift most of these Banelings, but they're getting awfully close. They run into the Nexus, and the structure falls. Okay. Now what? Since he opened up double Stargate, right? Like, affording a robotics facility and then a robotics bay. Pretty far away. Likewise for, like, a, I don't know. I guess High Templar into Archon is the best option here. Ah, man, the sentries end up getting surrounded, and Dark is just absolutely showcasing why he is the superior player. He's just styling on him at this point. Look at this. He's going Ultras. Ultras are like the one unit that are terrible in ZVP. Like, usually you don't want to go Ultralisk. The thing is, though, he's been making Queens to counter those Phoenixes. And likewise, he's also been making those melee upgrades already. I think what would have happened here if Haas decided not to tap out is Dark just marching across the map with those Queens. And you know what? At that point in the game, I mean, Phoenixes cannot lift Ultralisks. They can't because they're too big, they're too thick. And the Queens would have obviously been able to transfuse those bad boys back to full health for a very long time. Okay, so this series kind of went as expected. This is sort of what I assumed before I started the cast. I had no idea, obviously. I didn't know if Dark would be able to beat Haas. But Haas's cheesy strategies, they just absolutely got shut down. Like they weren't even an issue. Sort of like a mosquito in his face, you know? He just sort of swatted it away and that was it. I think this series right here is a great example of what the skill difference really is like, even at the pro level, right? Because a lot of pro gamers are sitting at like 6.4, 6.5k MMR, and guys like Dark are above 7k. And I really feel like this is a perfect showcase of what that difference looks like. I hope you enjoyed watching this series. If you did, you probably are a Zerg player. Hit that like button. If you didn't, feel free to hit that dislike button, but I mean, I would appreciate it if you don't. That'd be cool. If you really liked it, consider hitting that subscribe button. That way you get notified as soon as I upload future content. I upload Monday through Saturday, so I hope to see you once again in the next one. But for now, I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile, alright? And I will see you once again in the next one.